Welcome back to the Other Side of 45 podcast. I'm your host, Randy Black. Now, this podcast is going to be um, Fitness Fridays. And I had said I was going to start that in January, but a whole lot happened. And I'm not even going to lie. 2024 has been rough. It is now just May 3rd, and I am like still trying to deal with all the things that happened so far in May, in 2024, but we're getting past it. I wanted to come up with a series called Fitness Fridays because I started running in 2021. It's on my 50s by 50 list. And it was, I think I put at the time, like run 55Ks, marathons, whatever. Well, if you know what happened, I did that 50 by 50 list pre-COVID. And so then COVID happened and there were no races, in-person races. And so it looked like I wasn't going to be able to do the 50 races by 50. And so I altered it a little bit because it's a living document, and to say 50 challenges because a lot of races, 5Ks and above, were going virtual. Now, I'll be honest with you, I like the virtual aspect of it because, I work two, sometimes three jobs. And if I sign up for something, something may happen that I can't make it, or I don't find out about them till late. I am more in tune with races now than I was when I created this. Even in 2021, when I started running, I still wasn't getting, I was just beginning to get into that where the algorithm be sending you what you interact with. So, but now, like, I get a whole lot of stuff and I enjoy it. I listen to running podcasts, and I had a hard time. So I was thinking, when I go out in the morning run, I really would like to listen to some running podcasts. And I found some running podcasts, but none of them featured women of color. None. I could not find any. Now, I found some wellness, fitness, health type stuff for Black people, but nothing that really focused on running, which is fine. This is not going to turn into a running podcast, but it is going to talk about running. And I thought, well, I don't want to do a running podcast because I'm not that good at it. I mean, I run. I'm a slow runner, but I run. So, and I don't want to only talk about that. What I found was when I started researching and trying to find podcasts to listen to while I ran, is I wasn't finding a lot that talked about Black health. Not saying I found any. I didn't find a lot. I wanted something that talked about fitness more. And so I said, I don't want to change my whole platform to just be about this. So I thought, I love a play on, like FF, Fitness Fridays. So I am still looking for people. I do have someone who I want to interview and put it, and she's already agreed. We just have not been able to sync up time because we both work 2 and 3 jobs. So when you work that much, it's hard. And then you trying to work with somebody else who works that much, even more difficult. So, but we're going to get together because I work with her with one of my jobs. So anyway, I will be trying to interview more, not more, but Black women who are in this space, who especially runners. I really want to talk to runners because I joined the group Black Girls Run some years ago. But again, because of how I work back then, it's a little easier now. Every time I tried to make it, my schedule would change. And I was raising my girls at the time, so it was almost impossible for me to get there. What's funny is the woman that I'm interviewing, I met from Black Girls Run. So if you've ever heard of Black Girls Run, it's a run club type thing throughout the country. And they meet in groups and they run together. Because, for women, you might want a companion. There's nothing wrong with having someone to run with it. I personally like running alone. That's what I learned. I will start going to those meetups to support Black Girls Run, but I actually enjoy running alone. And when I started doing the virtual challenges, the 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever, 4-milers, I learned that I prefer to be alone. It gives me an opportunity to clear my head. I love the solidarity of just being out there in nature and just hitting the pavement by myself. That doesn't mean I will never do an in-person race, because I've done it before and I actually did not like it. It's just so many people, and I don't like people that close to me. But I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I've been told by the woman that I'm going to interview, Faith, that I should do the hot chocolate. The hot chocolate race is all over the country, and they have one here in Atlanta, and they had it in February, and she and I talked about it briefly. But yeah, it was like literally 2 weeks before the hot chocolate. And I was like, I was just asking you about it. I wasn't trying to go. She said, we should do it. We should do it. We should do it. And then it turns out that she couldn't because she had plans to go to a wedding. She was like, next year. So I'm like, okay. So I've been doing these virtual races. It's called Challenge in Motion. There are so many of them. And so you get these medals, and I'm going to do another podcast about it, because this particular part, I said that so that you can understand how this would go every other Friday. And on every other Monday, I'll go back to my regular content. So this is the first of the Fitness Friday. But I wanted to start this one off talking about Mental Health is Health, my sound bath review. So I sent to all my friends, people that I care about and who I could share this with, is that I want to do a wellness retreat next year. I want to host a wellness retreat. And so and in that text I said, but I have to do some research. So I'm going to be looking and attending different events, experiences, to try to figure out how I want to do my wellness retreat in 2025. So once you start researching this, stuff starts coming up. And so I found a sound bath. I had never heard of a sound bath. So if you've ever seen those bowls that, and they have this like stick thing and it goes all the way around it. Anyway, those are called sound bowls. And so you can actually go to a place and do a sound bath. And basically, it's a meditative practice that involves listening to overlapping vibrations from instruments like gongs, singing bowls, and chimes. And so in this particular one, I use Soulful Stillness Rendezvous, and it's in Metro Atlanta. And it's hosted by Toccara Jones. Toccara Jones, now, first, let's just be clear. I just searched when I started looking at sound baths and the vibrational and the singing bowls. I was just researching that. And then this event, Soulful Stillness Rendezvous, came up. It just so happened to be hosted and led by America's Next Top Model, Toccara Jones, who was in season 3. I stopped watching America's Top Model literally after that season. I was like, this thing is not good. I didn't think it was a good image for women. Toccara was their plus size model. She was on the same season as Eva Pickford, who has blown up immensely since leaving America's Not Top Model. So anyway, I found this Soulful Stillness Rendezvous in Metro Atlanta, hosted by Toccara Jones. It was inexpensive, and I was like, yep, I'm going. And so I went to do my sound bath. And I wasn't sure what to expect. I saw some pictures online, and my intention was to do more research before I got there, but it just didn't happen. And it was on a Sunday evening. My oldest daughter and I went together, and we participated in a sound bath. Now, so it's just picture this in a room with candles, and she's very beautiful. She's very sweet, and she invited us in. We were late, not my fault. And so they have these yoga mats and pillows or blankets, or no, it was blankets and those cushion wedges, so you can, help lift you up. We got there late, so we didn't have a wedge. So anywho, so you start out, you're on the yoga mat, and, she had these hand mirrors on all of the mats. The minute I went in there and saw those, I was like, oh God, no. because even though I've never done mirror work, I knew when I saw the mirrors what this was going to do. And I was like, great. So the mirror work was probably the most difficult part of the sound bath. So, you pick up the mirror and she gives you these affirmations to say. And one of them was, I deserve to be loved. And it was hard for me to even look in the mirror because you're just staring at yourself in the mirror, which is something that I typically avoid. So when she said to do that, I was like, oh God, no way. But I'm a good sport, and I really wanted to make sure that I got the most out of this so that I can decide whether or not this is something I want to do for my wellness retreat. And so, you're repeating what she says, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but it was really hard for me. Like, she's telling you to say these positive affirmations, like, I deserve to be loved. And I'm saying it, but at the same time, I'm looking at all my imperfections in my face. And I'm thinking about all my imperfections and all the things that I've done that I'm not proud of, or all the places where I should be or where I think I should be at this time. And all these things just flooding because it's, you're really focusing on you. And if you're really focusing on you and you're the type of personality that I have, you start thinking about all the things that you wish you could have done, should have done, whatever, all your regrets, fears, all those things just start flooding. And that's what was happening with me. But in particular, the part about love. And it brought me to a place, a memory that I want to share. A friend of mine, dear, good, actually, I would consider a very dear, even best friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. He was an amazing person for me. It was somebody who I deeply miss. And then I cherished our relationship. And he has left a hole in my life because I depended on him a lot. And he was also the only person who ever asked me what would make me happy. And I remember when he and I were having this conversation. We used to have deep conversations all the time. It's one of the reasons why he was such a dear friend. And he also is the one who told me that I was in a cult. Very gentle way. Just anyway. He had said to me one time, and I can't remember exactly what was happening, but he had been for a lot of my downfalls. And he said, you don't think you deserve to be happy. And I was like, that's not true. But even as I was saying it, I was like, yeah. But I think the reason why I denied it is because I didn't think it was obvious. And so I'm sometimes put myself in a position that if the way I feel isn't something that I know is healthy, mentally healthy, that doesn't sound healthy, I'll deny it. And that's where I was back then. I was like, no, that's not true. But I knew it was. I knew then that I had this thing in me that said, you don't deserve to be happy, or you don't deserve happiness. And one of the reasons why I started really looking into that is because that is, why wouldn't I? And I can tell you right now, this is something I am still working on. And so when I was doing the mirror work that day at the Soulful Stillness Rendezvous, I knew that this was something that I had not fully addressed in my life. I had addressed it, but not fully, because I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get to a place where I did not feel that way. So when Toccara was telling us to say, I am worthy, it brought back this conversation that I had with him. And I was like, And then it was like, I deserve to be loved. I am loved, and I love myself. Things of that nature. And I have to say that was hard for me, because I can chant the words, but I didn't believe the words. And I know you're thinking, what? I like myself, but I'm not sure that I believe that I feel like I'm worthy of love. I've had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about, I talk about here about getting married again and being in a relationship. And one of the reasons why I avoid that like the plague is part of me knows, or thinks, I shouldn't say no, because there's no proof of this, is that if I were to get into a relationship with a male person, that it never, in my mind, as soon as the thought comes up, it's never going to end well. And that's what I told her when she and I talked about, me getting in a relationship, marrying again. I said, it never in my mind, even if someone brings it up, the first thing, not the first thing, one of the things that I think about is how is it going to end? And not meaning, I mean, literally, how? Like, not the if, but how. It's like, how is it going to end? Is it going to be him doing this to me? Am I going to leave feeling this way? It's never good and it's never going to last. The first thing that comes to my mind when someone even remotely brings it up, and I'm like, and how is that going to end? Like, what am I going to have to expect? What am I going to have to prepare myself for when I'm at a place right now where I'm content and where I'm happy, where I'm enjoying my life? You want to mess this up. You want to put my happiness in jeopardy, because in my mind, deeply, I don't think it is in the cards for me to have a healthy, happy relationship. And so why even chance that when I'm in a good space in my life where I'm happy with where I am for the most part? Not 100%. I do wish I had more money and other things, but that's neither here nor there. But when it comes to my mental and physical being, like, I'm why would I want to jeopardize that when I believe deeply that it ain't going to happen. It's not going to be a healthy relationship. It's not going to end well for me. So why would I put myself into that, put myself on a journey of disappointment? So those are the things that would, seriously, that one minute you look into a mirror and you chant certain, positive affirmations. And when it came to the worthiness and I feel like I'm loved and all that stuff, those are the things that were the hardest for me. I said them, but it also brought up all of these other thoughts. And so that's what the sound bath did for me. It really made me address some things and look at some things that I really was not comfortable with addressing and looking at. But I had to, well, because I want to participate fully in this experience. I did. And that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to do this review. It's only been about 2 weeks, but I was like, another vulnerable moment about my mental health. And anyway, so we did that sound bath. We did that affirmations, and then, there's some other affirmations and things that we did. She puts in your hand, what is it called? Essential oils. And we rub them together. We rub our hands together at the same time. Sometimes it's just, okay, let's all sit and rub our hands together, and you sniff into it. It was just very relaxing. I love the vibe of it. Then we went into the sound bath portion of the experience where you lie down, and she gave you some suggestions. She's like, there's no wrong way of doing this, but she did give a suggestion, and I laid in her suggested position, which your head is closer to the bowls. So I did that, laid down, listened to these different sounds and the different vibration, and the pitches did different things to me. It made me feel differently it made me feel certain ways depending on the sound. So the high pitched sound, because I used to, and sometimes I suffer from tinnitus, and it has that high pitchy thing, and I thought it was going to be terrible. It wasn't. A little uncomfortable, but not terrible. And then she did this chimes. Oh my gosh. Those chimes, I cannot forget those chimes. Those chimes, for some reason, brought up these memories of when I was a child. And it was so weird because I couldn't explain it. And I still can barely explain. So I'm lying there and I'm listening to these chimes. My eyes are closed most of the time. Sometimes I will open them, just looking up up at the ceiling, and these chimes. She's playing these chimes, and she's walking around everybody, and she's playing these sounds near everyone, and even hovering them over your body as she plays different sounds. And it was something about those chimes that took me back to a place when I was a very little girl. Not a bad thing, please. It wasn't a bad thing, but it was a happy place, and it brought back these wonderful memories of when I was a child. But I could not quite pinpoint where I was, what this memory was, but it was very pleasant, and I enjoyed that. But very strange to me, and even to now, it's been about 2 weeks since I had my sound bath. I'm like, where did that come from? What was that memory? Why am I feeling this way with this particular sound? And so she would, then there was this sound that sounds like, oh my gosh, you guys, one of the best sounds. It sounds like it's the sounds of waves in the ocean. But I could, even though it was a sound, it felt like I was in the ocean. It was such a deep ocean sound, and it felt amazing. And I really enjoyed that sound. So I, that part I absolutely loved. I was like, wow, this is great. I love this sound. Very relaxing. My oldest daughter went with me. Within minutes of the sound bath, she fell asleep and she was snoring, and it was hilarious. But she had this very deep sounding sleep. Like, if you ever heard somebody who slept that hard, it was like this person must be really tired, and she was. And she had been going through a lot, she said afterwards, but it was like she was so relaxed. And I was very, very relaxed. So after the different sounds that she, like I said, she hovers over your body with whatever instrument that she's using for that sound. Very serene, very relaxing. Of course, the studio is dark, not really dark, but you can see, but the lights aren't on, I should say. And she has some candles, and you got the essential oils. It was just such a great experience. And then after that, we come out of it, we do a couple more affirmations, and we chant together these affirmations. That also was, I enjoyed it. Also, a little imposter syndrome because I don't think I feel that way about myself, some of those affirmations, but it was good getting it out. She invited us to come into another room where the owner of the studio or manager, I'm not sure, I think she said she's the owner, had made this delicious, it was beautiful teal colored tea. I don't like tea, but she said, hey, come in and try it. My daughter, I asked her if she wanted to stay. She was like, let's do the whole experience. And I said, okay, because I did want to do a great review on it. It was amazing. That was, honey, the best tea. It was delicious. I will go back and get that tea. It's $20. And I had my eye was really red and irritated that day. And so my eye was very sensitive to light. And I had to step out during a portion where we were all drinking tea and sharing our experience. And I did share. That part was probably one of the best parts of it, is being in a room with people of color who are sharing their deep feelings and how this sound bath has helped, and their journeys and different journeys that they're having, different things they're going through. And it was all done in a safe space. Now, everybody did not want to share. And I think that when people believe that they created a safe space for you to share, they think that you should share. That's the only thing I would say that, and that's nothing, it wasn't even required, but I think that some people felt pressured to share, because she goes, no, it's a safe space, a safe space. And she's very, very sweet, and she gets up, she gives you hugs. And sometimes people who are really too shy, who don't want to share, may feel a little pressure. I didn't feel pressure. I was fine. But I knew that other people out and did, because they kept saying, oh, I'm not that type of person. But once they started, they, were able to get it out. But there were people who was like, no, nope, thank you, pass. And, she didn't pressure them to do it. But overall, I really enjoyed the sound bath. Let me tell you what was interesting, though. I slept so good that night. Like good. Like, oh, I felt so relaxed. When I woke up, I was refreshed. I got up and I went for a run. Actually, I didn't run. I walked run. I was running slowly. Like, I got a long way to go to get back to my running speed, because it's been a while. But my review of that sound bath was, do it. I had told my coworkers about it, and I know they make fun of me, and I don't freaking care. Literally told them, I know you're making fun. And he was like, no, one of my coworkers, a male young man in his, he's 24. He was like, no, I just think that's, you seem like the type who would do stuff like this. Now, I wasn't sure if that was a jab or not, and I told him, I don't know if that's a jab or not, but I really don't also care. He also suggested this sound chamber thing. I may do that, where you're devoid of sound. I am a little claustrophobic, so I don't know if I can do it. But as far as doing a sound bath again, I definitely would do it. Matter of fact, I'm thinking maybe once a month I may take a friend of mine, a couple friends I have in mind, to join me I think she does it the first and third Sunday. I don't know. Oh, if that's true, that's gonna be this Sunday. I may see if one of my friends want to join me, but it's definitely something that I would love, that I think that I would want to put in my wellness retreat, and something that I would want to do again. Now the question is, do I want to be a sound healer? That's what they are called, sound healers. I don't know yet. It is possible. We shall see. So stay tuned. We'll see, whether or not I want to be a sound healer. But I did enjoy my sound bath. It was very relaxing, and I would do it again. And that concludes the first episode of Fitness Fridays on the Other Side of 45 podcast. So you can meet me on the other side of 45 on Monday. I will have another episode. That will not be about, it will not be our Fitness Fridays. It will be a regular episode. I will be doing those every other Monday, and these Fitness Fridays should be the every other Fridays. You can find me on all social media under The Other Side of 45. Until next time, I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.